So moving on to texturing the wheels. Here I'm unwrapping. So in the usual way. And interestingly, the new UV map almost matches the old one. So here we have the old texture in place. And it almost fits. It's not that it almost fits, it does fit. This is a very unusual coincidence in Blender, actually, because very often, if you change the model, the UV map changes completely. But in any case, I'm not going to keep this texture. I'm going to build a new one. This is a Chevy Monte Carlo wheel, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't choose it because it's a Chevy, but because it looks similar to the Vega wheels, the standard Vega wheels. I couldn't find a Vega wheel, actually, believe it or not. But I mean, that's not surprising because Vegas are very rare. And most of the survivors have the rally wheels. So in any case, scale this down. That's the next step. It gets its own layer, of course, if you're doing this, I would argue, efficiently. And sometimes it'll take you more than one try to get the size right if you're doing one of these. Because you're not working in the real units, you're working in pixels. So here I have this more or less where it should be. And I'm going to have to this is based on the original rally wheel texture, so some of this is going to have to be deleted too. But once I paste that in, it's actually going to wipe out the original texture under it. So I only really have to delete that hub there, if you notice, down in the lower right. But that's later. In the meantime, I have to add the hubcap. And I found this hubcap picture, which is not perfectly centered, so I'm going to have to distort it to try and pretend that it is, because it is kind of crooked as it is. So I'm using the perspective tool in Gimp. And this, again, is judgment. I mean, there's no way that this is going to be 100%, but as long as it fools the viewer enough to make it realistic, per se. Again, it will be probably used in a game. It's the most likely application of this model. I think the worst side effect of this not being a perfect fit is that it'll appear to wobble when the wheel turns, which is not 100% inaccurate because you do see wheels that are out of balance in real cars as well as hubcaps that don't fit 100%. So here I'm trying to scale it to fit the wheel picture I have. And, more than one try was necessary to get it right. And then I try to center it to make it look reasonably convincing. Distort it a little bit more because it still doesn't seem to fit right. The Monte Carlo wheel was much better photographed than the hubcap. So maybe it needs to be centered a little bit better. Examining it here. I try to rescale first. Now it gets recentered. And it's not 100% authentic like this because the wheel is slightly wrong, but at a glance it looks like the real thing, so keeps up the illusion. So anchor it, and then I get rid of the alpha to export this to Targa and make it a texture. Take another look at it, see if there's anything else it needs. Obviously, that hub needs to be deleted. At least in theory. It doesn't really have to be, but that this is clearly the other texture. I delete everything with the eraser tool there that doesn't belong. Other than the hubs of those tires, because I just don't want to mess with them. The edge of the rally wheel is not really that different from the standard wheel. Have to be careful not to wreck the texture of the tire, though. Okay, back in Blender, I'm going to import that texture. But first we need to export the UV map, of course, just to make sure we have it absolutely correct in the texture. I know that sounds silly, but after all that I've done with the old UV map, but just in case it's not as precise as I thought it was, we're going to do that. So my usual desire to remove the black background in favor of a white background requires the paint bucket tool there. So then save that as a new UV layout. Actually, I changed the name later to Chevy Vega wheel. I didn't realize I was making that stupid mistake there. And then copy and paste. Then we have our UV map layer in there. Doesn't appear to be any mistakes, so there don't appear to be any mistakes. And so I save that, I export a proper texture in Targa. Now I import the new texture. Once I can find it. So there it is. And let's see if it works on the model. First of all, of course, we have to make sure that that new model is entirely the tire's material, something that I didn't verify earlier. And in turn, the new material requires the correct texture, of course. Then I'll see if it works, and it does. So that's it. Thanks for watching.